All right, that sound you hear is me opening up a nice, cold, refreshing can of Coke. And today we're going to talk about the difference between two terms that'll come into play in chemistry a lot. One is mixture, and the other is pure substance. And when we look at a can of Coke, I want you to think about, is Coke a pure substance? If it is, then you would not be able to find Coke in any other form. But as we know, there are all kinds of Coke. There's Diet Coke. There's calorie zero Coke. There's caffeine-free Coke. And so on. So because there's so many varieties of Coke, it's not consistent. We can't say that it's a pure substance. It's actually a mixture. So, what are some of the things that are in Coke? Well, you might say, well, there's Mr. Held, there's water. Sure. You might say there's caffeine. You might say sugar. You'd be correct. All of these are mixed together in our can of Coke to make Coke. These things in themselves are pure substances. What that means, everywhere you go, they'll have the same composition. Water, everywhere, is water. It's H2O. Caffeine is a chemical with a structure. Sugar is a chemical, C6H12O6. You may remember from biology, if you've had biology. So these things are all pure substances. Now, a mixture is something that's made of two or more pure substances. And so Coke is a mixture of two or more pure substances. Coke, as we said, is a mixture of sugar and water and caffeine and food coloring and all kinds of other chemicals. And that makes it a mixture. So if you think of something like air, and this could be one that's a little tricky, is air a mixture or is air a pure substance? Well, you might at first blush think, well, air is a pure substance. Well, it turns out that air actually, if you think about it, air is more than just oxygen. What else is in air? Well, every time you exhale, as you're doing right now, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. Well, where does that go? It goes into the mixture that makes up air. So air is actually considered a mixture. So we'll write air up here. When you go swimming in the pool water is not a pure substance. Pool water has chlorine, has little things that kids might leave behind in it, has a lot of things, sweat, and it gets all mixed together. So pool water itself is a mixture. But water, if you could take the pool water and boil it and just capture the water and leave everything else behind, then you would have a pure substance. And when it comes to mixtures, we have two kinds of mixtures: homogeneous and heterogeneous. Okay, the difference is this. You may or may not have seen homogenized milk. So you get a container of milk and it says that it's homogenized. A homogenized mixture is the same throughout. Salt water is a great example. Everywhere in an aquarium that's filled with salt water, there will be salt and water. If you have an aquarium, let's say this is our aquarium, there isn't going to be more salt like here than here. The salt and the water will be evenly distributed throughout the aquarium. Just like in the bottle of homogenized milk, all the things that make up the milk, the fat, the cream, and all these things are evenly distributed. A heterogeneous mixture would be a salad bowl or the US of A. It's a mixture of many different distinct substances, and you can see those differences. if you look at salt water, you can't see the salt from the water. If you look at a salad bowl, though, if we have a salad bowl here, you'll probably see some leaves of lettuce. You'll probably see some tomato slices. What else could you see in there? You might see some nuts, if you like walnuts or something in your salad, and so on. And what you get is you can see the different states. In chemistry, we call the different parts of a heterogeneous mixture, these are all known as different phases. So we would say there's the lettuce phase, and the tomato phase, and the nut phase, and so on and so on and so on. In the US of A, right, we would say the US of A is a very heterogeneous country. And even if you look at Nutrier, it's heterogeneous because there are different types of... Now, it's not as heterogeneous as the United States. We don't have as many African Americans. We don't have as many Latinos, as many Asians as the general population of America. But compared to, say, a country like China, China is very homogenous. Almost everybody you come across is Chinese. In fact, when you live in China, the question doesn't come up, oh, what nationality are you? Or what's your heritage? As it does in America. That's a common question. What's your heritage? Well, my parents were German, or I'm half Italian, half Irish. And that's a great question. They even have bars and restaurants just for people of different heritages. In China, that question doesn't exist because everybody knows you're Chinese. When you see a Chinese person, you wouldn't say, well, what's your heritage? They would look at you like you're stupid. Of course, I'm Chinese. Because it's a very homogenous country. Whereas America is very heterogeneous, many, many phases.